Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is an absolute game changer for how product managers operate. You know that feeling, right? Drowning in a seemingly endless sea of browser tabs, Jira backlogs, and a million Zendesk tickets? Well, this explainer is all about how we finally escape that administrative chaos so you can actually get back to doing what you're paid to do, driving real product strategy. Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and look at this jarring statistic right away. 40%. As a PM, you are constantly told that you need to be the visionary of the team, right? The CEO of the product. But if we take a hard look at your actual calendar, you are likely wasting 40% of your week just gathering data, pulling competitor screenshots, summarizing user reviews, and doing endless backlog busy work. Seriously, you don't have a shortage of good ideas, you have a massive shortage of time.
And that brings us directly to what we call the grunt work trap.
This perfectly illustrates the core problem we're all facing. We are out here trying to build future products using workflows that are completely outdated. Honestly, most of us are still treating AI like it's just a fancy search engine. We start a fresh chat, manually copy and paste some customer feedback from a massive spreadsheet, drop it into a PRD, and just kind of cross our fingers that the tool figures it out. It's like we're trying to build 2026 products with 2019 habits. Without persistent context and automated action, you aren't actually managing a product anymore. You're essentially just babysitting tasks. Now here is an absolutely brutal reality check. Almost 80% of a product manager's time is spent just finding and prepping data rather than actually making decisions with it. Let that sink in. 80%. If you spend 4 full days a week just preparing data so you can finally make one single decision on a Friday afternoon, well, your workflow isn't just a little slow, it's fundamentally broken. Which leads us directly into our second major issue, the decision bottleneck. Think about the sheer contrast of what's happening in tech right now. On one side of the room, engineering velocity has absolutely exploded. Your developers are leveraging AI copilots to push incredible amounts of code before they even take their lunch break. But on your side, we've got massive PM decision latency because your product discovery and backlog management are still moving at, well, human speed. If you are manually tagging intercom tickets one by one and handwriting every single user story, you're creating a massive lag. Sure, the team might be shipping code at light speed, but without the time to properly process insights, you might be shipping the completely wrong thing. And because you're buried under all that operational noise, you start looking for shortcuts. It's human nature. But you end up leaning on some really dangerous crutches. You start relying on generic dashboards or prioritizing based on fluffy vanity metrics. Or worse, you just end up reacting to whichever customer is complaining the loudest on Twitter. Ultimately, you're just managing chaos instead of orchestrating actual strategy. Okay, brace yourself, because this quote is a massive wake-up call. If you spend your Friday afternoons just moving feature requests from Slack over to Jira, you're essentially acting as an extremely overpaid administrative assistant for your engineering team. Ouch, right? It's harsh, but it is a fact. If your entire week is literally just copying and pasting, you definitely aren't acting as a visionary product leader. So how do we actually escape this trap? We need to talk about the agentic shift. To clear this bottleneck, we need to implement agentic workflows. We're talking about AI systems that don't just sit there waiting to answer your questions like a basic chatbot. Instead, they autonomously make decisions, they plan out steps, and they act like your own dedicated research assistants. Rather than you doing all that heavy lifting, an agentic workflow takes over the repetitive research, completely freeing you up to focus entirely on high-level strategy. Let's make this concrete and look at how this works in reality using tools you can get your hands on today. For continuous feedback, agents like Viable or Zeta.io can autonomously scan through your support tickets, cluster what users need, and even draft your PRDs based on those recurring pain points. For competitive intel, a tool like Cassidy will monitor your competitors' blogs and drop a concise digest straight into your Slack. And for project management, lightweight, no-code agents built on Zapier or N8 can keep an eye on your Jira backlog and automatically post a summary if a ticket gets stuck. These aren't concepts. These are autonomous agents acting on your behalf right now. Now, I want you to ask yourself what we call the handoff test. Does your current AI workflow end with you highlighting text in ChatGPT, hitting Command-C, and pasting it somewhere else? If the answer is yes, then you haven't actually built an agent yet. Real effective agents end in an artifact that your team already uses, like a perfectly formatted Jira ticket, a polished Notion page, or an automated Slack update. If there's no clear automated handoff, it's really just a toy. Okay, enough theory. Let's get tactical and talk about building your very first agent. There are 3 absolute, non-negotiable steps to building an AI agent that can take over your administrative grunt work today. Let's walk through exactly how you set this whole shebang up. Step 1, find the right workflow. You need a task that is incredibly frequent and totally predictable. You're looking for a strict, recognizable pattern with a clear handoff. Take this highly specific goal statement, for example. Look at how precise this is. A specific time, a specific data source and intercom, a clear action to cluster themes, and a specific handoff output to Slack. That is exactly how you need to frame a task for an agent. Moving on to step 2, engineering persistent context. This is absolutely critical. If you don't give the AI persistent context about your product domain, your specific user personas, and your constraints, it's going to hallucinate. Plain and simple. It needs to be grounded in evidence-based reasoning. You do this by using tools like Claude Projects, OpenAI Custom GPTs, or RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, to ground the agent in your real company data so it stops guessing and starts giving you actual, usable insights. And finally, step 3, guardrails. The golden rule here is simple. Let the agent do the heavy lifting. Let it read widely, let it synthesize mountains of data, and let it write those messy initial drafts. But you absolutely must enforce a human-in-the-loop approval gate. Never, ever let an agent take a high-stakes action without your explicit permission. A human must always approve before publishing changes to production or firing off an email to a customer. You are the final judgment layer. Let's bring all of this together and talk about what the future product manager actually looks like. Ask yourself this, because it's a stark reality check for the entire industry. If your biggest competitor is utilizing agentic workflows to do in 3 hours what currently takes you 3 weeks to do manually, how long is your manual, spreadsheet-driven roadmap gonna survive? The truth is, it simply can't compete in this new market reality. Those manual workflows are going to be left in the dust. It really all boils down to this ultimate formula. Persistent context, plus autonomous tools, plus your distinct human judgment equals agentic leverage. This is how you combine the sheer, raw scale and autonomy of AI with the strategic, nuanced oversight that only you, a human being, can provide. But please keep this crucial point in the back of your mind. AI is not some magic fix for a bad strategy. Actually, if your problem framing is weak to begin with, slapping AI on top of it is literally just going to accelerate the wrong solution. It doesn't inherently make you a better PM, it just exposes your strategic gaps way, way faster. The future belongs to the PMs who treat AI not just as a quick shortcut, but as a true force multiplier. Automate the administrative chaos, fire yourself from the busy work. Do that so you can focus strictly on the strategic nuances, the deep customer empathy, and the bold decision-making that actually drives true product adoption. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to challenge how you approach your desk tomorrow morning. Take a hard look at your calendar, look at your endless task list, and ask yourself, what is the single, most mind-numbing administrative task you are going to hand off to an AI agent tomorrow? It is time to stop babysitting your product and start truly managing it. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and as always, keep building.